Hello, YouTube land, and welcome to another edition of Putting It Back on the Table, a Renee James production. Family, it's time to fasten those seatbelts for a thrilling adventure of home cooking, featuring culinary instructor Derek J. Snyder. I'm your host, D. Schneid, and tonight the table presents...
Pan-seared salmon and roasted red peppers with asparagus and Tangelo Gastrique Part 1, the introduction.
Hello, YouTube land. This is the second installment of our Dining for Two edition, first being chicken and asparagus in sweet chili demi. Today's meal is pan-seared salmon and roasted peppers with asparagus and Tangelo Gastrique. Don't ask me to say that again, as my mouth is beginning to salivate just looking at these pictures. This beautifully seared to perfection Great Northern Poisson, known as salmonadilla or salmon to us Americans, is rich in protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D. They also contain a fair amount of healthy cholesterol, and let's not forget the age-old adage of fish being brain food. Feasting on this reddish-pink delight can actually make you smarter. Don't be intimidated by this oily dweller of the deep or its frangible golden appearance. This mere sound of the word gastrique can be too much for one to attempt with the expectations of dexterity and grandeur in order to achieve this culinary acumen. I mean, have you ever seen a piece of fish look so mouth-watering, so delectable, and those sweet, sweet peppers melding the sugary juices with all that sultry citrus sauce, those vibrantly green spears of asparagus adding just enough savory contrast, flaunting sophistication, and yet humble with the levels of comfort we all have come to know. If you're not having to wear a drool cup right now, then there is obviously something wrong with you. Oh, and by the way, raw salmon contains parasites such as tapeworms and the like. So if you're thinking of using this as sashimi or in some poke, give a piece to those mangy dogs in the back alley first and see how they do. Looks like you've been losing some weight there, boy. Enough of my jibber-jabbering, let's get started, shall we?
Pan-seared salmon with roasted red peppers and asparagus with Tangelo Gastrique Part 2, the ingredients list.
Check it out, man. 10 Asparagus Spears. 1/3 cup of white vinegar. 1/3 cup of sugar. A Tangelo. 1, 2, 3 bell peppers. Some salt to pepper. Some grapeseed oil. And of course, the star of our show, some lovely salmon steaks.
Pan-seared salmon and roasted red peppers with asparagus and Tangelo Gastrique Part 3, the preparation.
Alright, let's do this thing. First, we need to get our peppers done since they will take the longest to cook and then skin. Cut them in half and pull out the core, seeds, and membrane. Then put them in a large bowl and coat them with some oil, salt, and some black pepper. Give them a toss to coat them all. Now place them flesh side up on a cookie sheet and into the oven for about a half an hour at 400 degrees. Now line up those asparagus spears. With your knife, push at one end at an angle. Now slice off the bottom ends. This will give you a nice bias cut. Let's prep our fillets. Pat them dry. Water is what makes them spit at you when you put them in the pan. If you didn't buy skinless, place them skin side down at the edge of your board and run your knife just above the skin to cut it off. Now spread a healthy amount of salt on them and rub in some of that grapeseed oil.
Pan-seared salmon and roasted red peppers with asparagus and Tangelo Gastrique Part 4, the cooking.
Since the peppers still have a while to go, let's knock out the gastrique. Put your vinegar and sugar into a small saucepan and turn it on medium-high. What you're going to do here is cook it down so the sugar dissolves completely and the vinegar reduces to a syrup. You need to stir it now and then to check consistency and make sure it's not burnt. It's hot, it's going to look thinner than what you want, so you need to pick it up off the flame once in a while and let it cool for a few seconds. When you can see the bottom of the pan when you swipe through it, it's ready to add the Tangelo juice. The Tangelo juice should be the juice of one Tangelo, which should give you about 1/3 cup, just like the sugar and the vinegar you put in earlier. Now, once you put the Tangelo juice in, repeat the same process until you have a nice citrus syrup. Watch it though, if you take it too far, it will become really thick and then you won't be able to use it as you need to. Pour it off into a bowl and set it to the side. Now let's pull out the peppers. The skin should look like plastic wrap when they're done, and they will smell amazing. Put them back into that mixing bowl and place them in the fridge with a little plastic wrap over the top for about 10 minutes. This just makes the skin a little easier to pull off. While those cool, blanch your asparagus in a pot of salted water for about 7 to 8 minutes, or until they start to get a little bendy. Then strain them off in some cold water to stop them from cooking. I didn't get a video of this, but if you need to see it done, look at my green pea puree video and repeat the same process as I do with the green peas. Okay, time to finish those peppers. Place them back on the cookie sheet and carefully pull off the skin from the flesh. Try to keep them in one piece if you can, if not, it doesn't matter. But don't put them under the water to remove the skin. A lot of people get tempted to run them under cold water to help pull the skin off. Don't do that. The water will wash off all that smoky, roasty flavor that you just spent close to an hour trying to achieve. Then place them in a bowl and put them to the side. If you're ready to cook your fish, turn your oven as low as it can go or somewhere close to 150 to 175 degrees. Place the peppers and the asparagus and the gastrique in it to keep them warm. Make sure all the things that you have them sitting in are covered in plastic wrap so that they don't dry out. This won't cook them, but it will make them nice and hot by the time your fish is done. Just before the fish is done, turn off the oven and place a couple of plates in there as well to get them nice and warmed up. Food always tastes better on a hot plate. That's why when you go to a restaurant, you get your food on a hot plate. Get your pan nice and hot and put enough oil to coat the bottom. Bring your heat down to about medium or a little less. Now place your fillets in. Once they're in, do not move them at all. Just let them sit there and cook. You're going to be tempted to want to look at them and pick them up and see how they're doing, but don't do it. Just leave them in there and don't touch them. You want to keep your oil looking like small bubbles around the edges of the fish, like a very light fry. This will let them get really nice and golden on the surface and keep them nice and juicy flaky in the middle. Once you start to see a medium dark golden color form at the bottom, time to turn them. Then repeat the process on the other side. Now everything should be ready to go, so let's go ahead and plate these things. Start by smearing some of that gastrique on the plate. Then lay the peppers down on top of the gastrique. Then the asparagus on top of them. And then finally your beautiful piece of salmon fillet that you just cooked all nice and golden brown right on top of that. The only thing you have left to do is to sit down and eat it. Enjoy.
Pan-seared salmon and roasted red peppers with asparagus and Tangelo gastrique, part 5, the eating.
Well now, another positively scrumptious dinner built for two. Its sweet, flaky flesh pairs nicely with the smoky flavor of the roasted peppers. Swiping it through the sweet acidic nature of the Tangelo gastrique places the thoughts and themes of dining by the water's edge, allowing romance to build with each breaking wave as it crashes along the shoreline, soothing you with complacency. As you gaze out over the endless horizon, it offers expectations of things to come, and all this right from the comfort of your own home. Of course, if you're having some trouble getting the youngsters to leave you alone long enough for some nice quiet time, I have an answer for that. Buy a piece of salmon early in the week and leave it in the windowsill for a few days. The unpleasantness that will collect through the entire household is sure to guarantee you'll have the entire place to yourselves. It's just an idea. I'm Dee Schneid, and I would like to thank you for once again partaking in yet another edition of Putting It Back on the Table. Goodbye, YouTube land.